We have Fynn Mazurkiew from IT for Kids. He spoke yesterday. He's going to speak again today. And this time he's going to be talking less about the details of the particular things they're teaching and more about how you convince teachers, how you get buy-in from teachers for actually teaching coding in the classroom.
It's good to be back. Yeah, so I said some words about myself yesterday, also about IT for Kids. I still have a short slide on it though, in case you missed it. Maybe we can go to the next slide and then also the next slide after that. Yes, that's the one. So yeah, we are a German-based NGO. We teach early age coding. We primarily work with teachers that have little to no experience in the subject, and we build a teaching software as well as materials so that they can get started. And I spoke about the product and how that kind of helps them yesterday. But many times we notice that what the teachers actually kind of want to hear in the beginning is very different from what the product is that they actually need. So now I would like to speak about the kind of things that we found resonate with our teacher audience. Next slide, please. So big disclaimer, these learnings are literally made in Germany. So if you notice that they might not apply to you, then I still hope you can take something away, maybe from the way we phrase the things. We kind of contact our teachers, how we convince them. Anyhow, maybe the US market is a little bit different. Okay, let's go to the next slide, because I have actually separated ideas into three categories, which is infrastructure, culture, specifically the culture around how teachers and how their team work, and the service that we kind of offer and communicate towards them. So let's go to the next slide and take a look at the infrastructure, which is the main building block, I would say, for them. Because at least in Germany, many teachers feel uncomfortable using media and devices. They have the experience that they are often let down. So our main beginning point is that we need to prove compatibility immediately. And ideally, this can be self-service. Something that we've done is that we have created a website that just measures some stats about the browser, like how quickly can it render a couple of scenarios in our graphics engine, what is the operating system like. Everything we can get is just doing a small fingerprint on it, and then it's just coming up with like green check marks. It's a simple thing, and as a person that has an IT background, I would say, wow, okay, so it's not really doing anything crazy, but it's communicating a ton towards the schools, because just telling them, hey, we don't know if it works with you right now, but just go to that website, check it out, and then it will work for you. You will see, and then basically everybody gets a green check mark because the software is just very performant. The performance is very, very good. So it's not really about measuring that. Actually, we don't need that information, but they do. So that's why we created this kind of little self-check. And they feel that as an argument of authority, that works very well to convince them that our system is actually compatible with their infrastructure. And of course, the proof is in the pudding. So you really need to be compatible then. It's not about lying. It's just about building an authority that can make that decision. Additionally, you should introduce, or we don't introduce any friction at all. So in this case, our main teaching software is just a website that works without accounts. It works with every iPad and basically any tablet, which is, again, it's nothing crazy, but you need to communicate it towards them, and you need to somehow show that to them and understand their needs and where they have been let down in the past. So that is really the key part. I always say love the infrastructure, because in Germany, that's really a big thing. And if you can kind of resonate with them on that level, they will appreciate it very much. And you can do that, like I said, without being person to person, face to face, because that doesn't really scale that well. But if you find those small ideas, then you can scale them and convince them with this kind of self-check or something like that. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. And take a look at the culture. So I introduced a new phrasing in our organization. It's KISS, which is keep it super, super simple and super, super stupid. It's not because teachers need it specifically that way, but just because you don't have that barrier. We shouldn't assume any prior knowledge, and we don't. And if a teacher cannot apply within like a couple of minutes what you've just tried them to apply in their classroom, it's likely that they will switch it out. That especially goes right now where we have a lot of other struggles, like children struggling with mathematics or even with language. And I hope that some people in this room would agree with me when I say that using something like Scratch or maybe our software, in general, block-based programming, can help you also with your language building skills and also your mathematics skills. The teachers won't believe that unless they can apply it within 5 minutes. Something that I like to, or we try to introduce very early is a kind of eureka moment. In German, I would say it is kind of the aha, I got this moment, which consists of two separate parts. It's the aha moment, the okay, I understand. And then the I got this is more like the self-confidence that they should really feel. So it's that kind of moment that we try to build very early on when it comes to teaching coding in ages where the students and the teachers are not used to this kind of subject. And last but not least, we always train at least in tandem. That has two reasons. First of all, it's very good when we want to kind of keep a program going in the schools, because if you teach multiple from the same school, you can kind of guarantee that they are going to be having that social teamwork to make it work together over a longer period of time. So we have some incentives in place so that they come and train with us at least in tandem. And that also allows them to fail together, which is something that like a failing culture, or like treating mistakes in a good way, is something that a lot of teachers in Germany at least don't really have. So that's why we try to all put them in front of the very basic levels that we have, and we all let them fail as a group. And that builds a bit of teamwork and a bit of like a bond between them when it comes to this subject, seeing that everybody is equally uncertain with themselves. So that kind of shapes the culture of the team of teachers at a school. Yeah, next slide. So about the service. So pretty much we make everything available and remixable towards the teachers, because teachers are always, they want to see everything you got, but they are always going after the standard way in the end. So that's why you have to be showing them much more than they actually then will use. And while you do that, regardless whether it's in a video, in a person-to-person interaction, or whether it's in a website, you need to radiate assurance. So we have a couple of small gimmicks also in our websites that will signify some sort of achievement towards them, so that they kind of feel that assurance that they're going down the right path. So that's really something that we focus on. Starting to code is easy, but they don't know that, at least not here. And last but not least, in the way you work with schools, we really need to align our interests. But this one, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. So in Germany, that means specifically that they prefer nonprofit organizations, because it's just open education, and we want to benefit every single student. So that's why we are a nonprofit, and we really see that of course makes a big difference in terms of communication. But there are some other let's say drawbacks that we experience also as a nonprofit when it comes to funding or stuff like that, where you cannot really take on external capital to grow your operations. So it's always a give and take in that sense. But in Germany, at least, nonprofit is the way to go. And yeah, since there are so many nonprofits here, I'm not really saying anything new. I had a couple people from code.org over in Berlin, I think last year. So yeah, next slide actually, which is also my last slide, and it's the same slide as last time. Just do get in touch if any of this was interesting to you. I'm super happy to discuss, to share learnings, because right now I'm just kind of reaching out, seeing how specifically the community reacts, and if there are any differences or any similarities between the different regions on Earth. So if any of this was interesting to you, or you feel like you might lend us a hand on those topics, I'm super excited to speak with you. Thank you so much.